should the NFL change the overtime rules, brother?
Absolutely. Big Dog, I'm about to make an indisputable argument as to why the NFL must change the overtime rules immediately. The NFL is the greatest game in football. The NFL is the greatest game in the world because of one word: parity.
Parity.
That's what makes the NFL the greatest game in the world. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you are the best team in football, you draft last.
Yeah.
If you are the worst team in football, you draft first. Parity. The NFL has a salary cap. You can't go out there and buy a championship. You have to earn a championship. Parity. If you choose to receive at the beginning of the game, you kick at halftime. If you choose to kick at the beginning of the game, you receive the ball at halftime. Parity. But when we get to overtime, we throw parity out the window and we just let a coin decide who will win and will lose, particularly in games like yesterday. Let's give a history lesson. 2016, Matt Ryan was the NFL MVP. But come the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan, the NFL MVP, never touched the ball because the Patriots, who came back from down 28-23, won the coin toss, went down the field and scored. So what you're telling me is that the best player in the biggest sport, in the biggest game, in the greatest country, never touched the ball in the biggest moment? 2 years later,
yes,
Patrick Mahomes, NFL MVP, 50 touchdowns in a season, 5,000 yards, AFC Championship Game, never touches the ball because Tom Brady, Patriots now, won the toss, never relinquished possession. Fast forward 3 years later, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, 4 touchdown passes, 27 of 37, 72% completion percentage, 130 passer rating, scored 3 on his last 4 possessions. He doesn't even touch the ball in overtime because of a rule. If the NFL does not change its overtime rule, it undermines the one thing that separates it from every other professional league: parity. So what the NFL has done, the foundation the NFL has built to make it greater than every other sport in the world, I would say, it undermines the second it gets to overtime. For that reason, the overtime rule is terrible. The overtime rule has gone to bite every other team in the butt, and eventually, if it hasn't bit you yet, it will bite you. They have to change the rule. Not because I'm whining because the Bills lost. I had the Chiefs winning. But I don't like that it ruins the parity of the sport when the sport is built on parity. Talk to me, Big Dog.
I respect what you just said there. Hopefully, they will cut that clip up, send it to Roger Goodell.
Hey, I'll text it to him.
Damn, I forgot. Last time I saw you at a game, you were with Roger Goodell. Took you a long time to get to me. I understand why.
Got to you.
Oh, and it's taking Roger Goodell and the NFL a little time to get to this rule, because this rule right here needs to be changed, but I understand that they're stuck with paralysis by analysis. There's an old Wileyism out there that perfect is the enemy of good. And then there's a flip of it. Good is the perfect enemy. Here's where I want to bring up why that's a issue. You said the P word, parity. Okay. Poor P in our alphabet always gets forgotten, gets ran into, elemental P. Like nobody get P his own space. Well, since we're going to say that parity, the P word, I'm going to bring up another P word, performance. I'm going to bring up another P word, phases. I'm going to bring up another P word, problem. NFL, you have a problem. In the NFL, we learn from our experiences. There are 3 phases to every football game. And you can't go out there and stress that which one is going to be the dominant force for you that day. You can try and say it in game plan, but then you go out there and you actually play. The number 1 defense last night was getting toasted, was getting waxed up and down the field by a tremendous performance by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. But that's the number 1 defense. But let's talk about 3 phases, how it always plays out. Another P. When you start off a football game, what do, Acho? You kick the ball off or you receive the kick. Special teams, check. You get an opportunity, right? Then there's an offense or defense. And I don't give a damn what offense you have in the world, you're not going to possess the ball for 60 minutes. So you will give the other team's offense a chance. In regular season, regular formatted football, every phase gets an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Gets a chance. But here's the problem. We get into overtime, and all of a sudden, we're just going to make up an exception. We're going to call it a coin flip, which is not even 50-50 in real life, and it's certainly not in terms of the NFL overtime rules, where 5 teams have won the coin toss and went down and won the game out of 8 opportunities in postseason play. Is that 50-50? No, it's not. 7 of 11 in total regular season and postseason play. Is that 50-50? No, it's not. So it's not a coin flip. Let's stop with that. But here we go. Here's the exception. Here's our issue. Here's where good is the enemy of what perfect is. We're going to go into an overtime game and say one of your phases, and I hate to say it for you Buffalo Bills, it's your most dominant phase for the evening, is not going to get an opportunity at all. You talk parity, I'm talking the phases. I'm talking the fact that their performance, their greatest performance was offensively, didn't even get a shot. NFL knows it has a problem.
And here's the thing. So many people want to counter with, well, if the Bills wanted to get a shot, they should have stopped them. You stop him. You stop Patrick Mahomes in that moment. You go out there and stop him. But here's why I hate that counter. If the Bills wanted to get a shot, they should have stopped him. So, in the draft, if you finish first, you draft the last. The NFL could have created the rule where if you win the Super Bowl, you get the first overall pick. Yeah. And imagine how ridiculous it would sound to say, well, if the 32nd team wanted the number one pick, it should have just won the Super Bowl. We don't use that logic because we don't have a dumb rule in the NFL as it pertains to drafting. We have parity in the NFL. If you finish last, you draft first. If you finish first, you draft last. We would never counter if the first team drafted first by saying, well, the worst team should have just been better. No, the worst team was the worst team for a reason. So I hate the counter argument of, well, they should have just stopped them. Last thing I'm going to say in this matter, this is what I hate. If y'all were listening closely, I'm going to tell y'all what the ref said. If you were listening closely, at the start of overtime, ref John Hussey said, gentlemen, this is a new game. Why you say it's a new game? I want the old game. We played for 60 minutes of the game. Don't disregard the 60 minutes that we have just played for under total parity, where one team kicked at the start of the game and that team had to kick at the start of the other team had to kick at the start of the second half. Don't disregard and undermine 60 minutes of work by saying this is a new game. This is not a new game. This is an old game that we are continuing. And if we're continuing it, let's continue it under the same circumstances of parity, not just some coin toss, which, as you said, isn't actually 50-50. There's a 51% chance that the coin, that the side of the coin which is face up, will actually be the side of the coin it lands on.
Man, it's rigged. And it's not even rigged with intention. It's rigged because there's no perfect solution. So now we get stuck in this situation where, since we don't know something that's perfect, we're not going to do what's better than the status quo. I know they made the rule change after I retired, 2011, and I gave you the statistics of what has happened since then in terms of winning the coin flip and going down the field and winning. Look, I was at SoFi when the Kansas City Chiefs did this to the LA Chargers. This is not personal to me. This is something that I actually look at just as a participant, former player, and more so as an analyst of the game, where I'm like, this one they don't get right. Let me tell you how. And I got to give it, you always got to give examples to people because people just don't want to take it as is. They want to just get into, well, it helped me out this time, Kansas City Chiefs today. But it didn't help you out when you lost to the Patriots. So let's objectively look at this situation for what it is. Imagine Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. End of 12 rounds, we have a draw on the scorecards. And then all of a sudden, the boxing commission says, you know what? We're getting tired of draws. It's time to go to overtime. 13th round. Ding, 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 ding. And they look at Deontay Wilder and they say, what is your strength? What is your best asset today? He's like, this right, this dynamite right. And they're like, all right, we're going to make sure you don't throw it. Tie it behind your back. Now, go out there in the 13th round and beat Tyson Fury after going to a draw with him for 12 rounds. He ain't got a chance in hell. Asking the Buffalo Bills what their number one defense on paper, but yesterday, the number one asset was Josh Allen and that offense. To ask them to go out there in the 13th round and then talking about tying your arm behind your back, just cut it off. Don't even let Josh Allen get off the bench. To me, that was the greatest issue in terms of what this looks like in terms of parity and objectivity.
So then, Sel, let's ask them the real question that nobody is talking about, the elephant in the room. Did the best team win the game between the Bills and the Chiefs? Because overtime undermined the parity of it, do you think that the best team actually won yesterday?
No, absolutely not. I don't think the best team won yesterday. I watched that game yesterday and I realized a couple things. Let me give you my summation of this weekend. the best quarterbacks outside of Patrick Mahomes all lost. Like, look at the crop of quarterbacks that advanced versus the crop that lost. If you did a power ranking of the 8 quarterbacks.
Which we did.
Yeah. 1, 2, and 3, if not 4, are gone, right? So in the top 4, you lost 3. Whatever way you want to play Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, do what you got to do. But we saw yesterday something that undermines something that we've always said, which is a team goes as far as its quarterback takes them. Now, in this matchup, you were seeing 2 quarterbacks play at the highest level ever. Even though they both were playing supremely well, one got graded higher. Pro Football Focus graded Josh Allen higher than Patrick Mahomes, 92 versus 85. I'm not even going to get into that argument anymore. Yes, I am. Now let's talk about what happened yesterday. The best team lost the game because the best team lost a coin flip. Simple as that. The best team lost a game of 60 minutes of materializing my efforts and talents because I lost a coin flip. If I had some money on me, a dime or something, and I just said, Acho, me and you going back and forth. What does Twitter say? 50-50. And I say, okay. Now I win the argument. You be sitting there like, dog, you got to win this with your words. You got to win this with your muscle. You got to win this with your talent. So, no, the best team did not win the game yesterday.
Incredibly strong. And I can't even argue with you. However, I will submit the Chiefs were the best team yesterday, and the Chiefs won the game yesterday. But the Chiefs were not substantially better. They were marginally better, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you could say that the game was decided by a coin flip. But how did that coin flip even become? Because that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes were just marginally better. Here's a point.
Let's go.
Buffalo Bills scored with 49 seconds left. Mm-hmm. They even overcame what the Chiefs did because the Chiefs scored with 52 seconds left. But what made the Chiefs the better team yesterday, and lets me say this beyond the shadow of a doubt, was somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes did what we've never seen done before, and he scored with 13 seconds left. So I got to go to the big board.
Oh, you go?
Because we got to talk about this 13-second, absolutely brilliant play that Patrick Mahomes made to end the game. 13 seconds is what Patrick Mahomes had, but he only needed 10. That's less than what they give you on Wheel of Fortune, y'all. 10 seconds is what Patrick Mahomes needed to take that game into overtime. So we got to talk about the play that changed the trajectory of the Chiefs' history, because 4 consecutive AFC Championship games, we haven't seen it. Alignment, assignment, execution. That's what matters in football. This cornerback is aligned 5 yards outside of Travis Kelce. He's aligned 5 yards outside of Kelce. That's a huge deal, and Patrick Mahomes is going to make him pay. Because he's aligned 5 yards outside of Travis Kelce, Mahomes realizes, oh, I can manipulate the middle of the field, but I got to manipulate this linebacker. Mahomes looks right. Linebacker then looks left. That leaves this vacancy huge in the middle of the field. Why? Because Patrick Mahomes moved Matt Milano with his eyes. Alignment. Mahomes identified, oh, the cornerback Levi Wallace was misaligned. He was lined so far outside wide because he was trying to protect the sideline. So Bills fans, don't kill the cornerback Levi Wallace. He was trying to do his job. The problem, he overdid his job. Patrick Mahomes, one slight look to the right is what made all the difference in that game. Because he made that play sale, that leads me to believe if you can score with 13 seconds, you are the best quarterback, and thus you are the best team.
God, I loved it. I love what you were saying up there, that illustration. And then all of a sudden the play was over, and I know you wanted to button it up, so then you went too far. Then you went and said that Patrick Mahomes is better than Josh Allen, which we know not to be the case.
Based off yesterday. Like, who was better yesterday?
It still was Josh Allen. Let me tell you why. Patrick Mahomes is insane. I think I'm getting misconstrued by the general public, especially chiefdom, as they call themselves. I guess I'm going to stress the dumb, because the chiefdom is not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying Patrick Mahomes is an A+, but that's the way we were graded. Remember back in the school years when we were getting 4.0s and you would get an A+? Then I look at my daughter's report card, I'm like, what is this 4.4 stuff? You know what it is? Josh Allen. It's these new level mobile 2.0 quarterbacks that are just special and different. Patrick Mahomes lit it up.
He did.
But let's be real. Patrick Mahomes before the 2-minute warning, and I'm going to give it to you objectively. 92 passer rating. Say all the stats, it's summed up into that crazy equation of 92 passer rating. Before, when you talk about Josh Allen, 117 before the 2-minute warning. Then Patrick Mahomes goes psycho, 158, and then a 153 for Josh Allen. When you watched that game, you saw that the Chiefs had the lead. Here goes Josh Allen striking. Then the Chiefs comes back. And then Josh Allen strikes again. And then we go to overtime. And then Josh Allen's like, okay, Patrick Mahomes struck again. According to this sequence, according to the SAT, if Patrick Mahomes counters Josh Allen and Josh Allen counters Patrick Mahomes, what happens next? On the SAT, you would fill in, well, then it's Patrick Mahomes' turn. But, what we saw yesterday was a complete different situation. We saw Josh Allen not get an opportunity to come back at Patrick Mahomes. So, look, the better team yesterday was Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. How do I say this? They went on the road. Say what you want. You got to go on the road because you didn't take care of your business. You played with your food in the regular season. That's fine. You go on the road, and this is a game that all they had to do, and this is why it's not just about the quarterback, because 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks this weekend had to go home. It's about, I need my coaches, I need my defense, I need my special teams, I need everyone to pull in because the quarterback's going to get the praise or the criticism. What happened in this game? That's so crazy. At the end, when you look at Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, they both were just countering each other. Sir. What happened at the end to make one prevail wasn't the fact that Josh Allen made a mistake. Wasn't the fact that Patrick Mahomes outperformed him. He just got another opportunity that he didn't get.
And here's the only thing I'll say to that is there's just not enough conclusive evidence to say that Josh Allen was a better quarterback yesterday. Right, I went on Twitter and I was like, you know what? Josh Allen did play better, but after doing some more due diligence and after everybody, I was going back and forth with them, I was like, Patrick Mahomes did what Josh Allen didn't, only because Josh Allen couldn't. You tracking with me? Like, Mahomes scored with...
Wasn't allowed to.
Yes.
Couldn't sounds like it's on you. Wasn't allowed to is something greater than you.
Fair. Mahomes scores with 52 seconds left. Josh Allen, anything you can do, I can do better.
Fact.
Josh Allen scores 49 seconds. Mahomes, anything you can do, I can do better. Mahomes scores 13 seconds, no time left. So because Mahomes did what Josh Allen wasn't even allowed to do, I can conclusively say Patrick Mahomes. You have to inconclusively say Josh Allen.
No, you're right. Look, if this is a heavyweight championship fight, to be the man, you got to beat the man. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. He had a draw with the champ in that respect, but then the champ got one more opportunity to hit him after the bell, whatever you want to call it. One squib kick away. Squib kick it. Just take some time off the clock. Let the ball just land at the 20 and then just bounce around. 5 seconds elapsed, something of that nature. I hate to say this, man. The Chiefs got bailed out by the worst rule in sports. And it's no slight at the Chiefs. It's just the reality of this situation because the Bills didn't lose this game. They just lost a coin flip.